Story 1. She gives me plenty of time to understand what I am feeling. Then, she does not criticize me when I do. Story 2. I had to learn to accept that I could trust her to always be honest with me, even when she disagreed. She would never judge me and wouldn't expect me to explain how I feel immediately. She was willing to give me time to express myself before responding. I grew up with a very old-school dad from an even older school family. We didn't talk about feelings, and my mom would worry if she was involved. So I dealt with everything myself. I did that until my mid-20s when I went through a bad breakup. I spoke to my friends and opened up about everything. I realized that I was feeling a lot of what they had felt, and it became obvious that the relationship was doomed because I wasn't talking to her about things properly. Of course, she wouldn't be able to avoid wondering if I was the right person since she never knew what I really thought, only what I said, but never from the heart. Opening up to my friends was incredible because they did the same. I realized I was dealing with many of the same insecurities as they were. When I told them they were wrong, I had to acknowledge that I was too. To this day, that breakup was the worst time of my life, but I'm glad it happened because I realized it is not a weakness to let people in. It is a strength. I didn't have to pretend to be okay with them, and they didn't think less of me for it. On a side note, I got my dad drunk and tried opening up to him about it. He called me ridiculous because of what I had achieved in life and said I was wrong for having imposter syndrome since I was hired by people more experienced, and I shouldn't question them. I got absolutely nothing out of him except that he dated someone before my mom, and he genuinely couldn't remember her first name, but he remembered her last name because her dad was a good rugby player back then. The man is more pragmatic robot than human. When I met my current partner, I struggled with trust issues after my last relationship, and it went very slowly. One day, she mentioned how it was nice to have met me and said that if it didn't work out, we should stay friends because we got on well, and she didn't want to lose a friend. The idea of her losing interest terrified me, and I decided to embrace the trust issues and accept that if she did break my heart, it was worth having tried. Over time, I opened up more and more. Not once did she judge me or push me. She opened up too. It felt wonderful to know so much about someone and trust them completely to know so much about me. I spent a long time trying to avoid dealing with my feelings, and I think all men should be told that it is not a weakness to feel and be vulnerable. It is not going to make you happy to act like you are in control, alpha, and that your emotions do not exist because you are perfect. Why would you need to open up? Speaking from experience, it is worth opening up and risking getting hurt by doing so. It is infinitely more isolating and demoralizing to suppress your emotions and judge yourself for not being able to get rid of them or stop feeling like you are not enough, or for having weaknesses if you cannot suppress them completely. In truth, it is weaker to be unable to open up and let people in. Anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying or too afraid to address their feelings and accept that it is okay to struggle. It does not make you weak to need support to get better or not be able to face it on your own. Until you can address your feelings and insecurities and accept that you are not perfect but do not need to be loved, you will struggle to find real connections because everyone is at arm's length. Story 3. If you want to talk, I am here. If not, that is fine too. Then never mention it again unless he does. You have to let him experience things his way and be okay with that and with the time it takes to build trust. Story 4. My wife notices my silences and offers to listen whenever I feel ready to talk. She is supportive in that way. I have been fortunate with this woman compared to some of the bitter men in this discussion. Story 5. The biggest one you are in direct control of is how you interact with your women friends. I don't think many of you realize how much we do listen and hear. When you are on the phone late and laughing loudly, or when you are all together after a few glasses of wine, are you encouraging part of the conversation when they are sharing their men's biggest failures and insecurities? Are you laughing at a comment about a small penis or erectile dysfunction? Be careful. She is not safe. She will not keep your confidence just like all the rest. Story 6. What does emotionally closed off actually mean? I thought most women were complaining that men were using women for emotional labor nowadays. Story 7. She does not. Sharing emotions is akin to trauma dumping in my relationship. So we do not share our emotions or open up about things, and if I try, she shuts it down. Story 8. We rarely do. We understand that at one time or another, you may use it against us. You are supposed to be our safe place in this world, yet too often we have been hurt by your choice of words. Story 9. It is not easy. Most of us did not grow up learning how to name our feelings, let alone share them. We are trying to open up with a vocabulary of about 5 emotions. For me, it is when she does not push but just shows up consistently. She listens without jumping to fix. She does not make it awkward if I am unsure of my words or do not know what I am feeling right away. That safe space is real. Story 10. When she makes me feel heard, I have only 2 contacts on my phone who are women that make me feel heard, and I tell them how I truly feel. Other than that, everyone thinks I am fine because I hide it very well. Story 11. What about the men who are so emotionally closed off that they do not have a woman in their lives? Asking for those men. Story 12. She doesn't. She is too wrapped up in her own problems every single day to care. She might ask how I am doing, but it is either a ploy to tell me about why her day was worse or she is not actually listening. It is amazing how many times I tell her a relatively short story and she just walks out of earshot. She does not offer to pick things back up. So, long story short, I have learned that she is not interested in me emotionally opening up. Like others are saying, if I emotionally open up at all and she perceives it as a burden on her, then I have to deal with that problem as well. Story 13. She does this by leaving me alone and not asking every 5 minutes what I am thinking or feeling. A woman's way of showing support is different from a man's way of doing it. Men are from Mars. Women are from Venus. If I am labeled emotionally closed off, it is just to her, not to any other woman. Do not get it wrong. As a woman, she is not going to have that special magic touch to reverse millions of years of evolution on her own terms. Everyone wants to be unforgettable. Story 14. The only girl who truly got to me was shorter than I was, and she had the habit of hugging me and burying her face in my chest. She would put her hands around my waist, and even if I was wearing a coat, she would find a way to get under it to hug my waist. I was absolutely defenseless against that kind of transgression against my edginess. Story 15. Saying you need to open up and deal with your emotions for the 100th time does not make me want to. I used to be very emotionally closed off, and the single biggest thing that made me not want to be open about my feelings was being pressured to do so. Story 16. I can tell you right now that being an emotionally open man and dealing with mental health issues, if you open up, your partner will likely appreciate it and find peace with you. If she does not, move on to the next person. Story 17. By asking good questions, taking genuine interest, and caring, the most important thing is not judging when something honest comes out or taking honesty as a weakness or invitation to hurt someone. Men do open up to women, but women often take honesty for granted and respond negatively, causing men to close up emotionally and learn from that experience. Men do not make other men cold. They try to help each other. Women who disregard male feelings have done so in the past and will continue to do so. Therefore, if you want men to open up emotionally, listen intently, have a conversation, and do not judge or laugh. Story 18. Be careful. He paid attention to how you judge other men and how open you are with your opinions. It goes without saying that matters discussed in a relationship stay confidential, but we also know how women are when they get together and just about everything is on the table for discussion. What you say about other men could be interpreted as something you would share with your friends or family, which is even worse. There are some things that must stay between the two of you, regardless of what you may think. Remember, he is trusting you with his innermost thoughts and feelings. These are 2 different things, and those thoughts and feelings are not yours to share. Story 19. I think she can only remain open to the conversation, but he has to initiate it and do the work required to be ready for it. Of course, she could try to pressure him into it, but this usually ends up being bad for the relationship in the long term. Story 20. She does not. Women have made it clear that I should never open up to them. They will either become abusive, cheat and then leave. No woman will ever see the full me again. Story 21. Men should not open up to women because they may use the information to manipulate you. Be warned and live and learn. Story 22. Why? So you can use this information to influence a man into telling you something you can use later. No, I am not helping with that. Story 23. I have a friend with benefits, and she is just as closed off as I am. I have been single for 5 years, and with all the problems I see in relationships around me, I have no desire to enter another one. 50% of marriages end in divorce, and up to 70% of divorces are initiated by women. I do not know about you, but with those statistics, it is not worth risking everything I have built. If I bring up a prenuptial agreement, women look at me as if I have sprouted 3 heads. No, thank you. Story 24. It's all in the reaction. It's tough and a bit unfair, but if your partner isn't the type to communicate thoughtfully about their feelings, there's potential that when they do, it might not come out as intended. Listening to understand as opposed to listening to respond is crucial. This applies to all genders. I used to have a habit of reacting to what my partner was trying to tell me and not really hearing them. Humans are complex, as are emotions. They will try to express how they feel about something, and sometimes it comes out as an attack or confused words. It's very important to check yourself before you respond. Ensure you're not allowing yourself to be triggered and just trying to respond without actually considering what the other person is voicing, as it might not be as literal as it seems. If you don't do this, you risk the other person learning that it's unsafe to open up, and then they remain closed off. Many men seem to have learned to close themselves off at a young age, possibly through less than ideal parenting, such as the idea that boys don't cry. I appreciate it's extra difficult sometimes. If you find yourself in a position where your closed-off partner starts to express themselves, the best thing you can do is be quiet. Give them space to get it out and learn it's safe for them to do it around you, even if it's confused words. Story 25. She was extremely patient and understanding. That's it. She sat through and listened to my issues and never used them against me. She listened without criticizing or blaming me for making her sad or making it about herself. She understood my issues and still loved me. To this day, I have never seen a woman like her. Neither my mother nor any other lady who was as patient and understanding. I feel she truly is a once-in-a-lifetime human being, especially now when almost all women seem hostile and hateful toward men, and never take the time to understand or reassure the man they claim to be in a relationship with. My girlfriend is willing to do that, and I am eternally thankful for her. Story 26. The process starts with building trust. Trust that what we say actually matters to you. Very often, people want us to talk but do not actually want to listen. That is not just a women's issue. Everybody does it to somebody. But if you can show that you care about his hobbies, interests, family traditions, or similar things, you are paving a road that shows him his words and thoughts matter. At least that works with me. Story 27. If he does not open up, he does not trust you. How or why he does not trust you is uncertain. Make him trust you, and he will open up without prompting. Story 28. I've only ever been able to emotionally open up to one woman in my entire life without it later being used against me. That woman was my mother. If you want to know my emotions, you are going to have to prove that you will not file those away to be used in the heat of an argument later. You will have to prove that you are not going to go talk about things I say to your close circle of friends and family. No, I do not care that they all care about you and just want to know what is going on with you. No, I do not care that you just need someone to talk through your own feelings with and get advice. Unless you can be trusted to keep things you hear from me to yourself, I will not want to tell you anything about my emotions. That sort of trust will take a long time to build. Story 29. They do not. There are reasons why we have closed off. It typically involves the aftermath of opening up to people in the past. Enjoy what you have access to because not everyone gets that. Story 30. Oh no, I would rather be flayed to death than open up to women. You all talk. I know you do. Do not act like you are a saintess and you do not. Once my mouth opens, all your girlfriends, mothers, aunts, and work colleagues will know the story. And I do not want to be burned like that again. So yes, flay me. Story 31. With ears that listen, a mouth that does not judge, a heart that sympathizes, and a brain that does not store information to weaponize later. Story 32. Most men stop opening up to women for a reason, and that reason is bad past experiences. For example, losing interest in him, viewing him in a worse light, refusing to provide emotional support, and using it against him later on in an argument. To change this, give it a couple of years of consistent support and kindness, and you might gradually start getting him to open up. I am not trying to be mean, but women have no one to blame but themselves for why men are like this. Story 33. I wasn't emotional before. I changed myself for my ex-wife to be, and then she stabbed me in the throat for it. When I was on the floor crying, she looked at me with emptiness and coldness, and then she told me to stop crying. She cried to me about her ex-rapist cousin, whom she chose to cheat on me with. He raped her. She tried to fix it. He cheated on her, was desperate, had a child he hid from her, then married her. He later told her he did not even want to be with her. That crying was fine though. No problems at all with what she does or feels. Obviously, this is not literal violence, but you get the metaphor. It is manipulation and torture that some women can and will do. Not all, but more than enough. It is a total trap, if you ask me. She will get disgusted and run off to be with another man once you act a certain way. That man is likely a loser who preys on women who are obviously not emotionally well. Her friends will cheer her on in their private chats. And there is nothing you can do about this harsh reality of life. It does not matter if you are accomplished, educated, loyal, or kind. Story 34. She has never used anything I have ever said to her against me. Men will tell you things that have low emotional stakes to test the waters. If you try to weaponize anything he has said, he will not open up further, especially if he has been in a situation where sensitive information was used against him. I can literally tell my partner anything without feeling like she will tell anybody else or throw it back in my face later. Story 35. She gives doses of stonewalling and silent treatment until I give in. Eventually, I open up enough for her to feel connected and in control. Story 36. There is only one way to do this. You pick a man who is your match. Date him for a while, marry him, and stay married for many years. Then maybe he will open up. We have been taught that sharing emotions is weak and undesirable. Many men feel the ability to share emotions is earned through years of commitment. Then maybe she will not weaponize your feelings when they are shared. Unfortunately, some women want men to share, but they are outnumbered by those who look down on men who display emotions. Your best bet is to start a movement with women to not bully or walk away from a man who is open with you. Neither of these scenarios is very likely. Story 37. I just prefer to process my emotions internally. I have never once felt better about talking it out. If anything, it is uncomfortable having attention drawn to something you are trying to move past, while everyone else keeps you hung up on it. Just because I am not verbalizing or expressing my emotions in the way you want does not mean I do not have a healthy relationship with my feelings. Think about it like this. Something bothers me. I do not tell you. I deal with it alone. You may be confused about why I am not opening up, but I take care of things, feel better, and we can both move on without issue. Something bothers me. I tell you. Now you worry over it too. I have to deal with both of our feelings, which makes it more than twice as hard to manage. It compounds and takes much more work to resolve both of our feelings without making things worse. As someone important in my life, your feelings will take priority, so I will have to calm yours first while enduring longer before I end up dealing with mine alone anyway. It saves a lot of headaches for everyone to just deal with things on my own. Story 38. There is significant cultural inertia to overcome for men to open up emotionally. It frequently takes the help of a professional, such as a coach or therapist. Direct message me if you are interested in exploring that option. Story 39. Usually, if someone has to ask this question, I wonder why. Why do you think I am emotionally closed off? Is it because you can see that I am being performative and reserved? Very astute, but the problem is, why would you want that changed? Expressive men get told they are children, no matter what they do. You have a hobby? Well, women don't like that hobby, so you need to change if you want someone to love you. To rephrase, change how you naturally behave because you are dating the most immature people on the planet. Would you want your partner to be called an immature deadbeat by society for the crime of playing video games? No? then stop asking them to be emotionally open. When the relationship has developed enough that he feels he has made you want him, then he will open up. There is the answer. Have desire for your partner and show it. Story 40. We are emotional beings too. Just when we open up, do not hold it against us. If you do, there is the door. Story 41. It's about opening the door and letting them walk through it when they want to. I wouldn't consider my boyfriend to be a closed-off person, but I've certainly asked him personal questions that he has been uncomfortable discussing. In those cases, I just tell him, no worries if you don't want to talk about it. I was just curious to know more about this side of yourself. Then maybe a few minutes or even months later, he will open up about it. It just has to be on his timeline. Story 42. It is a trap. Being emotional turns women off. Never again. Control your emotions and be stoic. That is the confidence and stability that a woman wants. Based on my life experience, this is the truth. Story 43. There is nothing to open up about. I think I am just not lost in emotion. My wife frequently asks what is on my mind, and I say nothing, but she does not believe me. Really, I am watching television. That is what is on my mind. My inner monologue is frequently silent. Story 44. You do not get a person to do things they do not want to do. If this was a question by a man that read, how do you get a woman to sleep with you when she does not want to? Then all hell would be breaking loose, rightfully so. If he is not open enough for you, then find another man. Otherwise, embrace who he is. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.